Many people remember Fall of the Foot Clan, and if they've not played it since childhood, they probably get warm fuzzies just by reading the title. I certainly did when it came to reviewing this. This just goes to show how obscuring nostalgia can be. Replaying this game gave a very different account than the one I would have written from memory alone. Something I didn't appreciate when I was 7 was just how good this game sounds. Featuring music by the astounding Michiru Yamane, later of Castlevania fame, Fall of the Foot Clan is an absolute joy to listen to. Pulsating music with the familiar cartoon motif is replaced in equal parts by driving high-tempo boss battles with progressive bass lines that wouldn't be out of place in Belmont's Revenge, and eerie atmospheric tracks accompanying your trips into the sewers. Get this game for the music alone because it's honestly one of the greatest on the whole system. The accompanying sound effects let it down a little though. They're sparsely used and only sound okay. The scenery is very well drawn too, with some nice background animations that Konami was very well versed in. There's very little flicker or slowdown at any point. It's a shame that the backgrounds are repeated so frequently. The nicest looking worlds get dull if you have to pass the same buildings or scaffolds time and time again. The sprites are detailed enough, and of a decent size, but again, there aren't many different ones, and there's little discernible difference between the 4 playable characters. The characters don't play any differently either, which is something even the first NES title managed. The game deserves a reasonable amount of credit for these 2 things, but sadly there's nothing else about it that warrants compliment. You walk very slowly from left to right, while flailing your weapon at the same enemy, called foot soldiers in the manual. You'll see millions of them, over and over again. They attack in the same pattern, 3 from the right and then 1 from behind, for example. Some hold pizza above their head for some reason. This can go on for 5 minutes with no variation in enemy, pattern or scenery. Just when you think the level must be looping, you'll find a boss. These look good, but are pretty tedious to fight. They only have 1 pattern. The game goes on and on like this. It's a good job the music is so great because there'd be no reason to carry on otherwise. If you manage to get to the last boss, it's an absolute joke. Just stand to the far left and it never hits you. Did nobody bring these points up at QC? Or did none of the testers bother to get that far? Between levels there is a bonus level which, somehow, manages to be even more boring than the main game. You need to collect these pizzas that appear for a short time, which replenish your health after the level. Having only 4 characters with 1 life each, you sadly need to do this, as they don't heal up after each stage. Throw in the cardinal sin of unavoidable damage, and you have yourself a really unappealing title here. If this wasn't a Ninja Turtles game, it probably would have been forgotten. It certainly wouldn't have sold nearly as well. Solid graphics and excellent music aside, don't let the decent score fool you too much. There's nothing radical about this one.